yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Tuesday night. We back up in this thing one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats, chicken, dogs, snakes, and frogs, and all of y'all out there in the internet land. Welcome to Tuesday night. Thank y'all for being here with us. My name is DJ George Chuck, and we have an outstanding guest with us tonight. We are continuing our focus on mental health. No, we did not get rid of Dr. Fred. Dr. Fred has friends, and he's brought some of his friends, colleagues, associates to the show tonight. We've got Dehvin White-Peck, and we're talking how to be unapologetically grounded, how to maintain your peace. With that being said, that leads to a Better Me in 23. We've got the Better Me in 23 challenge. It's still rolling with the Epps Institute and Fam Bam Fitness, which she'll be on next week. So all of our resident experts will be back with us, but we definitely want to keep pushing us towards a Better Me in 23. And we will crown our winner of the Better Me in 23 challenge at MSGW in May. That's Memorial Day weekend, Gulfport, Mississippi, the Mississippi's greatest weekend. See who's going to be the winner. But before then, we've got the Cheney and Russum Scholarship Golf Classic. Oh, that actually happened. So Max got to give us a update on that. He's got to tell us what's been going on with him. He's been moving around a lot. That being said, let's get it in, ladies and gentlemen. We got a great show. Unapologetically grounded. It's time to get this thing started. Oh, yeah. What's up, family? What's up, family? How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling?
I'm doing wonderful. How y'all doing?
Mac done pulled up. He done pulled up. Got $1,000 drink and got pulled up. That's what the rap song say.
That boy pulling up.
Hey, man. It's Tuesday. Welcome back. How y'all feeling?
I am wonderful. How y'all doing?
Doing great.
Feeling good, feeling great, feeling good. How about you?
How are you?
Ew.
Yeah, I feel grounded.
Well, look at that. Hey, man, go and order me another bottle, please.
Well, ain't that a shampoo pair of britches? Halo.
These folks they in Illinois with you, man.
Yeah, come on, Fred. Get us some bottles. I'll send you my address. Go pick them up.
Okay.
That'll save us money on shipping costs.
Okay.
That shipping ain't cheap. Shit.
It ain't. Mac, let's give Mac a moment. We're going to get Mac to jump in and give the disclaimer on the show. He's shaking his head. No. Okay. Tonya, can you give him a disclaimer?
This show is rated
Black and uncensored.
black and uncensored, unapologetically us, educating us, telling you how it is. T.I. tis. Listen, y'all gave me something off the cusp, so I'm gonna give it to you how it Ti is tonight on Nightcap Knowledge. We're gonna
And
educate your mind. We're gonna educate your spirit, your hearts and souls on Nightcap Knowledge. Ew.
all right. There we go. That is a new intro right there. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Wow.
Oh, there you go.
Right.
There you go. Keep
Sprinkle,
talking, Matt. Keep talking.
sprinkle some Mac isms on it. That's my son, y'all.
What's up, Jay?
Okay, son.
Oh,
Your uncle said what's up. Your uncle said what's up.
I was like, is that John?
That's the baby. That's the baby y'all used to have around
Hey,
campus.
so we're gonna talk about.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we appreciate y'all for bearing with us through our internet debacles. This is Internet Gate, Watergate, Trash Gate, all of it.
Wi-Fi gate.
When Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi is acting up. So definitely want to give a shout out to all our folks checking in with us. Shout out to B&B Barbecue, Marcus Banks. I know this is something that Mac will usually do. Shout out to Jesse Horton Jr. checking in from Korea. Our family Jason Ferg coming in, man. He says he is feeling great over there.
That's what I'm
Shout out to
talking
all our
about.
folks checking in from YouTube, Facebook. Let's see. Do we have any Twitches out there? We got
Man,
we got
look,
Twitches out there.
let me go ahead and plug my brother J Ferg music. Like,
Yeah,
go
put it-
get
put
that.
it in.
Go get that. Go download that Nikosi. I hope I said it right, Nikosi, because you know you got to say it like you're in
Yeah.
Nico. It's
In
not
the-
Nikos. It's like Nikosi. So you got it.
Nikosi.
It's in the back of the throat. So let me know if I got that right, J Ferg. Nikosi. It's like all streaming platforms. Go
Yeah.
get that in your heart, mind, and spirit.
All right. Well, Tonya, since you're going in that route, go ahead and give us our music and entertainment check-in. And
Awesome.
we're gonna keep it moving.
So let's do entertainment check-in. So I had an opportunity to just be in the midst of music, always celebrating music. I love music. I live it. Everybody know me. It's tattooed all over my body. That's how much I love it, right? However, recently in the news, I've been noticing how artists who've come before me, who've been in the industry 30 plus years, if not more, have began to celebrate, be celebrated more with the new nuances of social media, whether it's on the streaming platforms or your social media platforms where you can just share who you are. And so I am amazed at the excellence, the discipline, and the poise of SWV. You know, recently we saw in the news and television where SWV and Escape had a television show on a different network. And on the show, while watching it, you saw a controversy of who did what best. So tonight, I wanted to talk about my opinion of who did what best and why I celebrate and have been celebrating these artists. I am a huge SWV fan, and I still stand with who they are today and what they were then. Because on the show, while they were, tried to be who they were, attempted to be watered down for their number of social media fans compared to the other group, but their quality of content and also their quality of being able to produce who they still are and celebrate that on stage naturally sold me more. So I wanted to check in and see what you guys thought about the show. If you had to rate or to choose who your best artist was, and y'all can put it in the comment section. I want to know who that artist is, if it is SWV or if it's Escape, and then what that song is that you still celebrate to this day. Because Week just made 30 years old this month. So I saw at the final episode where SWV was saying sing Week as the last song, make it the finale, whereas Escape was saying no, understand it should be the finale. Week should have been the finale because on that bridge, I try hard to find it. That gets everyone. See what I mean? See what I mean? Now watch this. What I need from you is
understanding.
But look how it goes down. Week is I try hard. Like it
Yeah,
takes you on a
it's
journey.
it's taking you up.
Exactly. It's a climax in there. So I want to know, check in, let me know who your favorite group is, Escape or SWV, and why. So we could talk about it more because I feel in the Black community of music where I'm
Hey,
studying,
yeah.
listen, you're always on my mind. Yeah, thinking about you, thinking what? Listen, Rain, when Kanye West had the Sunday service of doing Rain,
Oof, oof,
oh, oh, that goes to show you the level of
golly.
how their music still speaks to
Yes,
the
yes.
world
I
30 years
really wish
later.
we could play some right now, just to bring them
Man,
in
yes.
because yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
check in. Let me know who your favorite artist is. Even if we're throughout the show, still check in.
yeah,
Those who are just tuning in, we want to know. And so I celebrate them because their grounding methods
yeah.
of who they are still speaks volume through their music from then to now. So let me know who you celebrate more. That's your
Hey,
entertainment check-in.
I sure appreciate it. I sure appreciate it. That was the music and entertainment check-in from Miss Tonya Boyd-Cannon, who was also on the Jack Daniels stage at French Quarter Fest this weekend. And shout
Yeah.
out to our brother Low Ballard for doing his coverage. And I actually had a chance to hang out with my brother and my sister, and we caught some studio time with them. And
Yeah.
I got some footage. I can't release it right now. Jay was
Li-
on the drums.
yes.
We had a new lead guitar player.
Yes.
Luke, you know, the music director, he was up in there, man. It was an awesome. That was the groove with me. You know, we went to a conference, but the conference that we'll talk about that later. I'll do like maybe a video blog or something like that on that. But the studio session was everything for me. I really enjoyed that. Like to
Oh.
see all of that and to have all of that other stuff going on in the front part of that building.
Yeah.
Can you tell them about that building right quick? The 3116
Yep.
building, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to 3116, Matthew, Joe, Keenan. These brothers came together to create a compound of art, right?
Yeah. You
And
got
it
art in
sits
the front.
art in the front. And then here's the thing: what you didn't see was
Hold on.
in the front, there are small offices.
I did see that.
Okay, cool.
He took me around a little bit. Yeah.
So there are offices in the front of the building where
Yeah.
entrepreneurs can rent space for their businesses. That way you have a PO box or a mailbox to be even more successful. The space also has a general hall where you can rent
Uh-huh.
for whatever events you want to rent. But then if you go around to the side at the back, there's a state of the art vintage studio
It's so dope. It
for
is
not
so dope.
just live sound, but the piano that you and Lo walked over next to, that's
Yeah.
Dr. John's piano.
That's
Rest
who pick. That who?
John. Well-known New Orleans musician, Dr. John. He was known as the voodoo soul musician, Les Le Bon Ton Cajun, Creole boy, white boy. Well, he wasn't white because he was mixed with everything else. But Dr. John, that's his piano. And
I'm
it
trying to find a clip right quick on
yeah,
my phone.
but that space allows you to just come into it and just So yep, that's us in the studio going in, having a good time, celebrating
Yeah.
live music. So yep, so
Yeah,
shout
man.
out to the family, Eliza, Sharando, Darren, my son Jay, Max, and my MD Luke, and of course
Yeah.
my boy Lo. Beyond Expectation Production,
On the
man, held
on
that
the
shit this
camera.
weekend. Yeah.
Well, look, we did our check-in. Mac, do you want to try to jump in and do your mental health minute now? Let's see if there we go.
Check. Can you get me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right. Real quick. Perseverance. Don't give up. We got a lot going on right now. Tougaloo has been hit hard with some of the esteemed alumni. We just lost one. We're gonna definitely give a shout out to this brother. Chuck gonna do the honors, but we want to tell everybody, no matter what's going on in life, don't give up. Keep fighting, keep your feet moving, persevere. We must keep going to a brighter day. So that's my mental health minute. Back to you.
All right, as we prepare for our shout out and our moment of silence, as we go into the grounding portion of our episode, being unapologetically grounded, we want to bring into the room the spirit of our Tougaloo brother, Fusi Fernanda Parrish. This brother transitioned earlier this week, so we definitely want to take a moment at this time to have a moment of silence for Fusi. And also, and I don't have a picture of our mother, Shirley Lawrence, but we definitely want to lift up our brother, CJ Lawrence, at this time too. So moment of silence for Fusi Parrish as well as Shirley Lawrence. All right, we appreciate y'all for doing that with us. We definitely have to honor and support our people. So Fusi was definitely a person that was committed to Tougaloo College, and we want to say cheers to Fusi and cheers to Mama Shirley, because the first time I spent the night at Mama Shirley's house, she made me, CJ, Bart, and Tyson clean up CJ room. Now that's somebody real, mama. And Shari, shout out to Shari too. That's our little sister. She laughed at us the whole time. And then this is my story. We gonna get Dehvin in the building. Fred, you're gonna have to introduce him. Dehvin, get ready back there, brother. We see you. But my story is, Mama Shirley said, Chuck, now I know you know better than this. Your pants fell down a little bit while y'all was up there hopping. I say, Mama Shirley, for real? I said, no. Look, I'm not going to tell your father about this, but we're not going to have that happen again. Do we have an understanding? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's it. And I can stop by there anytime I got ready, if I'm, following through Hattiesburg. But we definitely will miss her. She's definitely a mother to all of us, and that's my boy, that's my sister. We love them. We'll be headed up there to celebrate her life with them, and the arrangements for Fusi, I'm pretty sure Mac already has those. We'll make sure that we share them with the Tougaloo family. So Fred, let's get ready to introduce our esteemed guest and your colleague, so we can have this great conversation about unapologetically grounded.
Oh, absolutely. I just wanted to take a few moments to just try to just explain who he is. So his name is Dehvin White-Peck, of course. And we actually used to work together when he and I worked in the prison system. And we actually worked on the same unit, the BMU, Behavioral Management Unit. And so that's why I met Mr. Dehvin White-Peck. He is a licensed clinical professional counselor here in the state of Illinois. He's a family man. His wife just gave birth to their first child, Ava.
Hey, what's up?
And he currently is a case manager at Blue Cross Blue Shield. He's the one that has to come in and review those claims that come in, when people are seeking different healthcare services.
Okay. Well, good deal. Let's welcome him to the show. Yeah, there he is. Brother Dehvin, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you?
Awesome. Glad to have you here.
That's good. Thank you for having me.
Most definitely. So look, I know Fred gave you a brief introduction, but we have to say this, man. Like, congratulations on the birth of your first child. Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, you ain't sleeping none. Come on with it, man. Come on.
She's 19 months, so she been.
Oh,
here.
it's a girl. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Your daughter. What is it? Dad, girl, dad. Hashtag girl dad.
Got me sick, so yeah.
Wait, say it again.
So much that she got me sick, so yeah.
Oh man. Welcome.
Yeah, bad chest congestion, but hey, I'm all right though.
And look, sit in the bathroom with her, turn that water on, steam it up, let it open up, and then put a towel over here and come out on both of your heads. That way, because your pores are open.
Honestly, with her, it hasn't slowed her down. It slowed me down, but it ain't slowed
Oh
her down.
wow.
She's still,
Oh,
yeah.
sending positive healing energies your way.
Yeah, so thank you, though. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Dehvin, we getting a little like crackle. Are you using a Bluetooth headset or you just on your phone?
It's a I'm just talking through the speakers. Can you hear me now? Is that better?
We can hear you, but it's just a little distortion. We're gonna try to work with it. So, Fred, let's jump into the conversation around the grounding conversation. Let's get a baseline understanding for our viewers and listeners tonight, because we also are live on Black with No Chaser Radio. So make sure you go to the App Store, download that, and we're gonna hand it over to Dr. Fred and Dehvin.
Yeah, so I think we should start out because, of course, our topic is being unapologetically grounded. And so I think that we should at least start out by talking about what grounded means. What is that? What is being grounded? And I actually went in, because I'm a bookworm. And so I went in and looked up the definition. And of course, according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, grounded means to be mentally and emotionally stable. That's what that means. And my own opinion is that that's something that we all should be striving for.
Yes.
That mental, emotional stability, that balance, that, like I tell my clients, homeostasis. We all seek homeostasis as humans. We want that balance. And that's something that we all should be seeking. Even when everything around us is chaotic,
Mm-hmm.
we need to be seeking that mental and emotional stability.
I think a couple of things that come to mind in grounding and understanding the act of ing of grounding is something you should practice every day. I was talking with one of my girlfriends before I left the gym, and she was telling me for 3 weeks she's really been focusing on healing herself, right? Practicing. And so the words that came to me were, daily we're maintenance beings, right? We're supposed to practice maintaining who we are, but also just like you take your car in, every 3 months, if not the 3,000 miles to get an oil change, there should be those check-in moments that you're doing or having that space of a circle of people. Because for the longest, talking about anything with mental health and mental wellness was taboo in the Black family. Talking about therapy, you don't do that. You go to God, you pray about it. I'm my burnings right now, that's voodoo, which we'll talk about that later. But anywho, so it's those things of being aware and having the awareness that it's okay to have those days. I had a rough start today. I had a very rough start today. And I cried. After I cried and released it, I sat in silence. And I think what people need to understand is that grounding doesn't always have to be noise. It's stillness, right? So if you can talk more to that of understanding, sometimes a lot, words do speak when the mouth is not even saying anything. So just having that understanding of grounding, talk more about how or what it looks like to be grounded. Like what kind of activities, if you guys can share that.
Well, see, and here's the next thing. Being grounded is also about being in control. It's about control. And it's not control over others or control over external circumstances, but it's about having control over yourself, your emotions, and the stories that you choose to believe about your life. Being able to stay calm and connected to the core of who you are, even in the face of uncertainty. Even in the face of uncertainty. And also going back to that serenity prayer, having the serenity to understand that there are some things that I have no control over.
Yeah.
But things that I do have control over, I can make changes, and I need to also understand the difference. There's nothing that I can do about this over here, but I can do something about this over here. That makes sense?
Yeah, Dehvin, jump in here, man, and give us some of your thoughts on this.
Yeah. You know, I think grounded is very complex. I think it's a. I want to say it's a process. Um, it's a very I think tedious process of an individual finding themselves.
Hmm.
Um, you know, when you discuss being grounded, I think it comes with a very long lineage of experiences within your life. I think it comes with being comfortable with facing the fact that maybe me finding myself might take a while. And that's fine. That's okay. I remember when I was in college, and I was going through my um, MIP MIP process.
Mm-hmm.
And I had older brother at the time that I think I was a sophomore at the time, and he was saying, "You need to know what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Right now, what you going to do? What you going to do?" Like, I don't know. This was I was an art major. I really, I just knew I loved art, and that's what I majored in. But it was like a lot of you know individuals, I would say, at that time that was in my circle, they really was pushing and really trying to force me to figure out what am I going to be, what am I going to do, and I get it, right? You want you feel their intentions were good, I guess, but going from art major now to being a clinically licensed therapist, independent therapist, it was a process. You know, I think me solidifying my identity and what I want and being true to that, right? And being unapologetic about it. Um, I was just having a conversation with, old colleague today, and we were talking about, doing what makes you happy, regardless of, the pressure of living up to someone else's expectations. Um, and and how does that look to you, and how does that feel to you? Pretty sure it feels a lot better than living up to someone else's expectations when you're not happy yourself.
Yeah.
So I think the older I get, I 100% am becoming more grounded and solidified in my ideas, my thoughts, and what I want. I think that's the biggest thing. What was that scene from what was that movie? When a guy said, "What do you want?" When you ask woman what she wants to eat, and he's like, "No, what do you want?" She's like, "I don't know what I want." It's like that. You have to ask yourself that. What do you want? Like, what is it? What does that look like? And go in deeper.
Yeah.
Even if you're able to answer that question of what do I want, ask why. Like, okay, I want to be, let's say I want to be an entrepreneur. Why?
Mhm.
For financial reasons. Why? And you ask yourself why. Enough, you won't get to the real answer.
Mhm.
Could it be freedom? Could it
Yeah.
be, comfortability? So could it be access? So that's kind of my ideas a little bit on grounded, I would say.
I wanna jump in because I agree with the you said it's a process of longevity, right? Because I think what people think is when you ask the question, what do you want? What do you want to be? Who are you? Those questions are confusing for people who've never been given a space to answer those questions. And I could talk because between myself, Chuck, and Mac coming up in church, right? I often talk about church where I was working on a project called From the Soul of a Preacher's Kid. And I think a couple of bishops was going to be mad along with my daddy. So I rethought, how I was going to, how I was going to release this project in the most unapologetically grounding way without even worrying about how people thought, because at the end of the day, I had to free myself, right? And so it goes back to that point of the longevity. I often ask my students, right? I say, who are you? And I'm talking about as young as pre-K. And
Who are you?
right, who are you? Right. And so I'm often on the phone with Chuck and Mac when they call me, and I'm in the classroom and I'll FaceTime them, and Mac can say, oh, I forgot you're in school. But I'll have them to just take a peek in the window of what I'm dealing with. So today, Chuck had a 6-year-old tell him about in 2025, all of the reptiles, amphibians, mammals are going to die off. But in 2025, before 2025,
Willie
however,
Mammoth.
in 2025, woolly mammoths and all of these cycles of life are going to come back. A 6-year-old who knew, and he told me, I said, so Chuck and I said, you're going to be a paleontologist, right? And he goes, yeah, whatever that is. But he said, I'm also going to be a teacher.
Yeah.
So what stuck out to me most at 6 years old, this baby know that he's going to teach some kind of way. How many adults you know today that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s
That don't know what they
that
want.
don't know who they are?
Oh shit.
And so for you to say that longevity process, and everyone, even if those of you who are tuning in right now, if you have any questions, put them in the comment section, because what we want to do is, here on Nightcap Knowledge, we create this safe space for you to be free. For this 1 hour on Tuesday nights, we want you to find you. When you leave, get something that you can continue, not only a drink, but we really put something on your mind, on your head before you go to bed. Because in your heart, we want you to get up the next day and be able to get into it, right?
Yeah.
So that part of grounding starts with asking the question, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask this question? All right, when you ask yourself that beginning statement, right? That prompt, who am I? What do you do next after that? Like, is that the grounding exercise? Like, is that part of it? Like, is that like a therapeutic progression that comes after that? Like, give us some insight on that, on like how we get through this process of of grounding.
I think with that question in itself, it's not expected that the person would it's not even really expected that a person would even know, or would be even able to give a clear, detailed answer. I mean, it's something like, it's basically like that, igniting the idea. I think that's what that question is and what it's designed for. Who are you? I will actually give that. I remember giving this. It was an individual that, he was incarcerated, probably still is. I told him, write me this essay of who are you. I did it for a couple reasons. I would say the main reasons are, one, there was deep traumas associated with his behavior that I think really influenced his perception of women, his relationship with other men, in terms of friendships, and I would say authority figures as well. And something that he really got out of that, he was able to, it was like he was having this conversation with himself. He might as well have been holding up a mirror and just sitting there talking to himself in that cell. And he had to sit there with himself. You know, there was nobody else in there with him. You know, he had to sit there in himself and he had to have this conversation with himself. And he learned a lot from there. He was, I think at first he was like, "Oh, this is easy," but and and I kept that letter for a long time too, and I had him reread it to me after a while. But he was actually, he thought it was going to be easy, but he was telling me how difficult it was, because you know the last thing, because in the process of that grounding, right, and that question, you're going to have to really be able to really address your own shit. And you're going to have to really be able to confront yourself of whether it will be the bad that has happened to you or the bad that you have done to others. Because there's going to be two questions that comes out of that is, you know, and I find that some people will ask themselves, did I deserve that to happen to me? Or what did that person do to deserve that? And asking themselves that question. And that's mainly in a lot of times in the prison system, but I think that's a part of it. And you really come into terms with that, because I think a lot of people's conscious, even you know, it's kind of, I call it the cringe moments in your life. You know, everybody have those cringe moments. You're like, why? You know, you think of something that you did 20 years ago. Why did I say that? Why did I do that? You know,
Not Fred. All right, keep going, Doc.
And you know, and some people that don't sit on them very well. That don't sit with them very well. But I think it's the part of that, because the process of grounding also is synonymous with process of healing. And like I said, it's not the healing with just what happened to you, but what you have done to others. So yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to kind of just add that, you know, also with regard to grounding, I kind of touch on something that you said, Dehvin. When you're able to be grounded, I think that by staying grounded, you can minimize regret later in life. You know, because of course we all make mistakes, we all do things that we're not proud of. But when you're able to stay grounded and we're able to react and respond, you know, from that grounded arena, then you are less likely to do things on the spur of the moment. You're less likely to make decisions, you know, based on some impulsive idea, some fleeting idea that you had. And so I think that being grounded is important, because like, even, you know, what you were saying, Dehvin, about the person that was incarcerated, my own opinion is that maybe had he known, you know, to be grounded, then he might have thought twice about whatever it was that caused him to get into whatever situation he was in. That's just my own opinion. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times we, especially when we're dealing with a lot of trauma, we will act based on that experience and not on what is right in front of us in the present moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think about the meme that somebody put out. It says like, type in, I'm about to go off on this mother, but the grounding or the mature person who's working on myself deletes everything that says you, and delete it and say, you know what, we could talk about it later.
Yeah.
Right. That's that healing part, because I was writing down, taking notes when you said, did I deserve that happening to me, or did that person deserve that? In which, you know, me acting towards them. You know, it's amazing when you have to really take time to look in the mirror.
Mhm.
I had a parent walk up to me because I teach not only traditional school settings, but I teach in the community. And I had a parent, my kids performed last week. Shout out again to Beyond Expectation Production, filming my kids performing Friday. And I had a student in my class who was new to my programming, and I'm very unorthodox, right? So we're learning about, you know, scales and elements of sounds and things of that nature, right? But then I asked a question to one of my students. I said, I don't know how we got on the topic of love. I don't know how we got on the topic of self love and self worth, but I'm glad we did
Mm.
because all I could do was sit. I have chills. All I could do is sit because the question came up was, well, do you love you? And then tell me why and how, right? So one of my students, she laughed through her insecurities allowed her to laugh through her tears because she couldn't say why she loved herself.
Mm.
And so she sat there and she kept crying, but she kept laughing. And I said, listen, and I can only attest to her laughing because I had been there. I said, you laugh because you don't know how to answer it. I said, that's okay. You're 13. I said, but I'm here to tell you you're beautiful. I'm here to tell you you're talented. I'm here to tell you you are an amazing light and I need you in my life. That same kid who couldn't smile got on stage Friday, blew the crowd away with this presence. And her dad comes to me in tears and said, I don't know what the fuck you did. Excuse me, my listeners. That's how he approached me. He said, I don't know what the fuck you did, Miss Cannon, Miss Tonya, Miss Tonya.
Yeah.
He said, but I thank you. He said, because I can't get to her. I don't know how to get to her.
That's
I
awesome.
said, and I said, well, thank you, Daddy. I said, well, the first thing I want you to do moving forward is I want you to listen to her.
Mm.
I said, when she don't speak, she's speaking. And he stood there and he cried because he didn't know how to connect to her in a way that she was crying out. And come to find out the same baby was suicidal. So this is hitting home for me because I've been there, right?
Yeah.
And didn't know how to find that ground. And so these tears are tears of release and joy because every day I'm finding my way in grounding
Yeah.
so I can stay grounded because I want our listeners to understand grounding is something that's an act of every day. So you can stay grounded while you're processing the grounding to not be able to cuss a motherfucker out. I'm sorry, my listeners, my bad. Listen, but
We had to get some harps on that.
listen,
Ain't hit no M's on that.
no, because I'm pretty sure everyone that's tuning in, you've had that moment where you want to go there and you delete that comment and you say, baby, I'll talk to you in a few moments.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
that's my two.
I'm gonna jump in here and I think we can go around the horn in a sense. A couple things that I've been reminded of by listening to Fred and Dehvin. One of the things approaching this conversation of grounding from an entrepreneurial standpoint. All right. And this is me. I was able to verbalize like, all right, these are the areas that I have to improve in. And this is the conversation I have with Matt quite often. Now, what does that look like? What does it sound like? I've been able to say, I don't have systems. I tend to try to teach myself everything so that I don't have to count on anybody to do anything. Now, what does that do? That puts me in a position to where I'm trying to work 20 out of 24 hours a day. And I might sleep a little bit, but that's not healthy. Now, why haven't we seen, and these are questions that I'm asking myself, and I think if I'm understanding y'all correctly, when I'm having these conversations with myself and I'm saying, all right, well, who am I? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? What work do I need to do today so that I can be proud of myself tomorrow, a year from now, 5 years from now? This is how I I make a process of staying grounded, right? What is most valuable to me, and what do I need to do now so that I can be that person and much better 5 years from now? And I gave myself some answers, and I wasn't happy with the answers. But I also was able to say, well, like, all right, well, how do we, what plan do we develop? Now Chuck, so that future Chuck can be happy with how everything turns out. Now, that if I'm understanding y'all correctly, ain't that's like the process of grounding? Y'all give me some feedback on that, because I'm a DJ. I know how to spin records.
You're
But
not a DJ, you're creative.
I am a creative, but it all started with DJing, and that's grounded. Come on, Dr. Dehvin and Dr. Fred, jump in here. Come on. I had to get myself some harps. Is Fred froze? What's going on? Let me.
Oh,
there we go. All right, Dehvin.
I was muted.
So give me some feedback on that, man. Like, approaching it from the entrepreneurial standpoint, because we do have a number of entrepreneurs here. I know that I saw a lot of doctor people in the comments, and I think they're here because of you all. But for the other folks that have tuned in, give them some, some feedback based on some of the questions that I've proposed.
Well, I would say that one thing that comes along with entrepreneurship is fear.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Fear.
Excuse me.
Fear.
Yeah.
And fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear that things may not work out the way I plan, fear that I may be making the biggest mistake of my life, fear that other people might judge me, especially if this doesn't work, and how can I save face in front of my friends, in front of my relatives, in front of my family members, in front of my peers, in front of my superiors. And being able to be a little bit more accepting of that, because number one, that is something that will come along, that fear. Not trying to run away from it, but being able to embrace that. We have to, we want to rid ourselves of all type of negative feelings, negative emotions, negative thoughts. We don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't want to feel that way. We don't want to think that way. But isn't that a part of who we are as a person? I can't look at myself in the mirror every day and only see the good parts of Fred and not see the bad parts. I can't do that, because my philosophy, and this is something I bring up with my clients all the time, isn't the weather made up of good weather events and bad weather events?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Isn't life filled with ups and downs? Yeah. Aren't humans made up of good characteristics and, positive characteristics and negative characteristics? Absolutely.
100%.
So then why am I unwilling to accept every part of me? If I can't accept the negative parts of me, then I will have no awareness of the things that I need to correct about myself. Okay. And so going back to what you were saying, Chuck, whatever negative aspects, whatever negative feelings, whatever negative experiences that could come along with entrepreneurship, you have to be willing to accept it. Because even in those negative experiences, there is something that can be gleaned from it.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to see the blessing in all experiences, whether they be negative, positive, or neutral. Because if it hadn't have been for that experience, even if it was a negative one, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Yeah.
Because our experiences shape who we are and what we believe and what we strive for. And so we have to practice, and this is a part of grounding that I teach my clients, practicing acceptance, leaning into that discomfort, accepting all of that comes along, all of it. Okay? Not ridding myself of it, but accepting, because see, here's the thing, all of that is still a part of life. You can't go through life and never have a negative moment. You can't go through life and never have a negative experience. I remember a client was telling me a while back, she was coming to therapy for anxiety. And as I was explaining to her the different types of anxiety disorders, she said, well, I don't want to talk about that, Dr. Smith, because that's making me feel anxious just hearing about it. And I said, well, ma'am, you do know that. She said, I just want to just think negative thoughts. I said, well, ma'am, that's unrealistic. And I said, you do know that the treatment for anxiety is to learn to face whatever it is that causes us to feel anxious, and then learn to tolerate it. Because one of the main behaviors of anxiety is avoidance. We avoid those things that make us feel anxious. And in turn, that perpetuates anxiety.
Yeah.
Because anytime that situation comes up, the possibility that we have to face it, we get anxious all over again. And so the key to decreasing our anxiety is learning to face and tolerate that anxiety. Because once we face it and we learn to tolerate it, then we realize that this is not as bad as I thought, number one. And number two, I am much more capable of handling it than I give myself credit.
So really quick, Dehvin, can you jump in? Not really quick, I'm sorry for saying that, but Dehvin, can you jump in on from what Dr. Fred just said, Dr. Dehvin, I always say that. Can you talk about some of those side effects that come with being able to face, and this is not as bad as I thought? What do those side effects look like when you're going through this process of healing and grounding yourself? Or some that you've seen?
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's kind of like it's kind of like drugs, right? If you have a person who is an addict and they've been using crack, matter of fact, let's talk about New Jack City. Y'all,
come on.
And when Pookie was withdrawing from crack, he was going through it. Had the sweats. He had to put that awkward hand on his sweaty back in the room. It was an uncomfortable experience, and I think it's the exact same thing when you're talking about healing, because the thing is you're used to doing the same thing you was doing before. You're used to feeling the same way you was before. It's like if you had pain your entire life, right? And you woke up one morning, you didn't get no, let's say, you woke up one morning and that pain was gone. It's completely gone. And you didn't feel it. You would be a little suspicious at first. You're like, but I think as time goes on, you definitely build up that comfortability because this is an uncomfortable experience. I used to tell my clients all the time in prison, it's okay to be happy. It's okay, man. Like
That's major.
It is. And, some people think they don't deserve to be happy. Some people, they might view as happiness as a means of being weak. Whatever it might be, they're stuck in that funk. They stuck in it. And if they experience, happiness, it can be uncomfortable. That unchanging.
It doesn't feel right to them.
It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right for me to be happy, because you think you don't deserve to be happy. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier when, we were talking about how, you asking yourself, you confronting yourself on the things that you have done and the things that people have done to you. And ultimately asking yourself, do I deserve this? Do I deserve the happiness? Because let's say you have been a complete asshole. I'm talking about complete for years, probably your entire life, and you try to rectify some things and, you have, and you try to make amends of what you did, and you finally get to a place where you are happy, where things are kind of going your way, but you feel like this guilt, this unyielding guilt, as though you have not earned it or you don't deserve it. So yeah, definitely, I think that process is uncomfortable, and that's what I've seen. I've seen guys, especially like in the prison environment, who was doing real good, and then for absolutely no reason whatsoever, they would just revert back to whatever they know, right? Things are getting good. I'm talking about things are going good. I'm talking about the judge actually wants to hear their case. They might be going home, and they probably
all the wheels fall off.
Yeah, they're out of SEG after being a SEG for like 20 years, and then they piss it all away. For no reason. But it comes from that uncomfortable process of you learning yourself, and then you realizing that that maybe that feeling of that you don't deserve it. So yeah.
And then can I just add really quickly? Just wanted to just kind of piggyback on what you're saying, Dehvin, that I think that might be, and of course there are many reasons, but I think that might be one of the reasons why a lot of people choose not to seek out therapy. Because when I have to seek out therapy, then there lies the possibility that I have to face some things that I don't want to face. Like Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane.
Yeah.
Let this bitter cup pass from me, because I'm looking in this cup.
I know it's in this cup.
Like what I see.
Right.
Yeah.
And so lies when you have to go to therapy. You have to face certain aspects of your life, things that have been done to you, things that you have done.
Yeah.
Or things you weren't aware of that were present.
Right.
Suppressed, yeah.
Right. Something that you weren't aware of, or some things that even when I do couples counseling, things that they have been doing in the relationship, or things that they've been allowing to occur in the relationship that they weren't aware of and they don't want to face. Well, we just want to just sit and sing, here we go around the mulberry bush and be happy. No.
Right.
That's
Black
not
love, black love, black
yeah,
love, black love.
yeah. That's
Let's
not
talk
what.
about the black psychosis, right?
Yeah, I have to face, like I was telling you earlier, about looking at even those negative parts of myself,
Right.
facing all of that, facing all of that. Part of being grounded. Part of being grounded.
So if we're talking about being grounded and understanding grounding, because I know we're past our time, but if you all can give a something, an activity for our listeners to begin practicing daily, along with your affirmations, your meditations, your prayer, what is or what are some ways that we can begin to practice the grounding daily so we can stay grounded for a lifetime?
I like that.
Yeah, take a moment to think about it. While they're thinking about it, I will share with our listeners and us, one way of me grounding every day is to check in, right? I had a moment today. I checked in. I sent Chuck. I was like, listen. I checked in with my therapist. Listen. And I didn't respond how I deleted all those comments. And I sat and I cried and I released. And I remember who the F I was. Listen, my grandmama.
Somebody better tell
I'm
him.
I'm the grandchild of a native Indian and native Indians. So my grandmother had a couple of things, and the F word was one of her favorites. So I
Come on.
got it. So
Got
I'm
it
sorry,
out.
Auntie Melinda on here. I saw Auntie Melinda. Hey, Auntie Melinda. So I'm not gonna say it. Uh, but Auntie Melinda. So forgive me. You're gonna hear the F words a couple. Oh, F word. Yeah. I'm sorry, but yeah, but. One way I would say every day I get up and I do my I ams. I am focused. I am persevering. I am patient. I am true. I am healed. I am protected. I am wealthy. I'm rich. I'm a multimillionaire. Those are my mantras
Yeah.
every day that I do. So, Chuck, what do you do? Matt?
One of the new practices that I do now, and it's because of something that you've recommended, Tonya. Um, I tend to listen to those very motivational and positive affirmation songs before bed, and then like first thing when I get up, I try to listen. So, all right, while I'm going to sleep, I'm gonna listen to them. Right. Then when I get up first thing in the morning, I'm listening to them. Now, outside of that, the thing that I've been most consistent with, in terms of grounding, every morning, Monday through Friday, on the way to school, we read the scripture of the day. We look at the cultivated reflection video, and then the boys and we pass the prayer around the truck. So it's like, y'all used to sit in the truck and y'all be passing the blunt. We pass the prayer, and we pass that prayer around the truck. And by the time we get to McRae's school, uh we done said, and and we kind of bring my daddy into the truck every morning. We say, and we all say it, amen. And then we go on around, and then we walk McRae to his side of the school. Then me and Jackson, we take our time and we get to his school. So my daily grounding activity is us doing our scripture reading with my boys, and we pass the prayer. And then by the time I get back to the house, I'll be ready to go. And really to get into it. And I know when we don't do that, things can get kind of off rail. So that's my daily grounding activity. But the new thing that's been working for me in terms of business is listening to those positive affirmations, making sure I'm motivating myself there, because if you lack on one end and you're killing it on another, you kind of out of balance. So that's the stuff that I'm processing and becoming more grounded in.
Yeah, I would definitely say setting I would say envisioning what you want your life to be, what you want it to look like. That's what I want to say. What do you want it to look like? And how are you going to get there? It's, life is like, this road trip. You need to find your destination. Now the destination might not want to be, I want to be a doctor, and but you about to be a doctor buried in debt and mad because you're working in a trauma center and you're burnt out and chain smoking, every day. But but even if you envision freedom, you envision peace, you envision happiness, and what is it going to take for you to get there? And you set those small goals, right? Like we talked about, those small victories that you can obtainably make every day, or every month, or every quarter, or every year, something that would put you closer to obtaining that vision that you have for yourself. So I think that's that would be a good starting point for some individuals.
Envisioning, that's going to be our topic next month.
And I would say also avoiding catastrophizing.
What that mean?
Catastrophizing is when we let our brain spiral to the worst case scenario.
Okay.
We jump to the worst case outcome. And so we have to learn to ask ourselves, is what I'm thinking a true reflection of what I know to be true? Or am I thinking something that might not be true? What are some, like Bianca saying, ruminating on the worst? What might some other explanations be? What are the facts? Am I basing my thinking on my current situation?
Yeah.
Or is it based on an experience that I had? Because this current situation that's before me may look like what I've experienced, but it may not be the exact same thing. So I have to learn to know the difference. It may not be as bad as that last experience. It may not be what I'm catastrophizing it to be. It may be something totally different. And so that's one way to stay grounded. Avoiding that catastrophizing. Let's not jump to the worst case outcome, because in the grand scheme of things typically tend not to be as bad as we imagine.
Yeah. Wow. Sound like Bianca need to be on the show next month too. Listen, look, I sat here taking notes. It was something I wanted to ask, but I forgot because I got deep into the comment setting, the small goals and the small victories. I love the envisioning. So I think, can I just kind of pull a rank and say next month we're going to be talking about envisioning and what that looks like realistically, right?
So let's do this. Let's take it a step further. Fred, you and I talked about an idea. When Tonya jumped on the show, we jumped on earlier to discuss some things around MSGW. So for those of you that are first timers to the show and may not be familiar with, these acronyms that we throwing around, MSGW is Mississippi's Greatest Weekend. We celebrate the Divine Nine, so fraternities and sororities. We celebrate HBCUs, and it all circles around highlighting the best of Mississippi, right? One of the things that I think for this platform, as an outgrowth of what does it look like to have this conversation grow. Now we Dehvin, I think Fred informed me that you are an alpha man.
Yeah, I am.
Like, all right, so look, we got alpha and omega, and then
Shout out the beginning.
the beginning and the end. Let me get my organs. All right, I got my organs. Now we got a Sigma man right here. All we got to do, we got to find us an iota and a kappa.
Yep.
And we next month, for the month of May, we're going to have a men's mental health roundtable right here on Nightcap Knowledge in advance of Mississippi's Greatest Weekend. Now, what does that look like? Are we truly having these conversations anywhere? If I'm on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, I know that there are some people in Jackson that are doing this. Shout out to Kemar Kane, Omega brother from Tougaloo, doing a conversation around brother helps brother. I know that one of our other guests from New Orleans, Tonya, was that your therapist? That's just somebody that you know.
That's someone I know. He's actually your friend, Dehvin. So I'm waiting for him to get back to me.
So we got these conversations. If we can make sure that we're duplicating those efforts, highlighting those efforts, and we talking about like brothers helping brothers.
Yep.
And then if the brothers, are helping brothers, then we can duplicate that process. The sisters been doing the work, man.
I think the thing is, yes, the sisters, we've been doing the work, but we haven't been given the space to take the cape off, to be able to sit.
Come on.
And to be celebrated, right?
So
I would love, like, next month, I'm going to be in the room, but I'm not going to be in the room, right? Because I want to be able just to hear what brothers say. And I'm just going to be a listener.
Yeah.
Because what we're going to turn around to do, like, here's the thing. What I think we should do is push your conversation to June, because we celebrate Father's Day in June. Hold May for women.
May for women.
For Mother's Day, right? For our moms. I'm just saying, that's just an idea.
Let's do two then. No.
Okay, let's do two. All right. Let's do it then. Let's do it. So
don't be trying to push us out.
No. See what I mean?
No,
so what we can do for May and June, we're gonna have these conversations.
Yes.
And what I think I want to shout out to Auntie Melinda, because I appreciate that she says, y'all grown, baby, talk.
Yeah.
We're not given, as millennials, Gen Zers, and all of that stuff. I don't curse in front of my mom. I still don't do it. My mama just turned 75. Shout out to Gloria Boyd, who cut up this past weekend in New Orleans, on stage at French Quarter Fest, in the audience at French Quarter Fest. But and if you don't know, go to my Facebook page. You'll see all of it. But I still don't curse in front of my mama. However, my mama has learned to listen. So when those curse words do flow, she understands it's not coming from a place of disrespect. Right. It's coming from a place of feelings. And then when she told me her mama, my grandmother, threw the middle finger and said the MF word and a couple other words, I'm forgiven. I'm graced. It falls in the bloodline. Grace. So I can say the F word freely because it's in my bloodline. So thank you, Auntie Melinda, for giving us the grace and the freedom to be able to share our healing through this platform, and also to bring in our baby boomers. I don't know how old you are, Auntie Melinda, but I know you're young, girl.
Come on.
But to be able to start talking freely about mental healing. And sometimes those words come forward. So thank you for the grace, Auntie Melinda.
So we got at least 2 shows for the next month. I'm excited about this. This is gonna be
and I'll bring Dr. Janae in as well. So
come on. Let's go, man.
Yeah. So with all that being said, heal yourselves. Remember, grounding is an act that happens daily so you can stay grounded for a lifetime. So grounding daily so we can be grounded for a lifetime. Tune in next week. Fam Bam Shay. We about to get these results, baby, in the gym. Bust it. Let's go, Chuck. Where we going?
Hey, you hit a bar right there. We got to get to where the money resides. You hit a bar right there. We're going to where the money resides, baby. We appreciate y'all for tuning in, checking in, tapping in. Make sure you tune in every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Shout out to Dehvin, licensed clinical professional counselor. Shout out to Dr. Fred, licensed clinical psychologist. Our resident therapist, Mr. Mac. Man, Tonya Boyd-Cannon, we are all here every Tuesday, 9
DJ
p.m.
George Chuck.
Hey man, shout out to me. I love me. I love myself. We'll see y'all next week. Hey, Mississippi Greek Weekend, MSGW online, man. Y'all tune in, tap in, check in, and we'll see y'all next week.
Ew.